Your faces.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
There we go.
There we are.
You should have it now.
Did we
I'm all up in Tori's chair. Right
You are.
Like,
We're friends now.
what? Now?
I'm kidding.
We've always
So,
been friends.
so to continue this conversation,
That's going to be really loud.
do you believe that Christian artists, have a responsibility to the Christian world to put out Christian music? Because this is something we've seen. You have an artist like Bob Dylan who started his career when he was not Christian, and he made, again, not inherently bad or like detrimental music, but it wasn't blatantly Christian. And he went through a period in his life when he decided it was going to be right for him. He had a duty to Christianity to put out, music that was inherently Christian. Do you think that that's something that all artists that are Christians need to do, or do they need to stay in their lane and just kind of push their message the way that they were going to begin with?
There's a band, I don't really like to bring them up now because the lead singer had like some legal issues, but at the time, before all of this, he did say a really good quote though. And real quick, for anybody listening on the radio, goodbye Hank Taylor.
Goodbye.
Goodbye Lauren Mathis.
Goodbye.
Thank you for stopping by the show today. But he said a neat quote about people are asking him about are they a Christian band and everything, and he was saying he was basically saying, sorry, I lost track with Hank Taylor coming in. Anyways, he was basically saying that they don't necessarily make Christian music. They're Christians in a band. So no matter what they write, it's going to be through a Christian perspective. But even if they're not writing a worship song, even if they're not writing I love God, I love Jesus, thank you, Jesus, kind of thing, it's still going to be written through a Christian lens. And I think that's where, if you're a Christian making music in whatever kind, whether it's a full band, whether you're a solo artist, I think your duty is just to keep whatever you write through your Christian lens. Don't fall into the world and start glorifying sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of thing. So I think that's where our duty is, but I don't think our duty in music as Christians would be to go out and only write worship songs.
Yeah, I think going for any type of art or any really field of study, like you can either be like an artist that's a Christian or a Christian artist. Like there are people who are amazing construction workers and they also are Christians, but they don't feel called to full-time ministry with that. And then there are other people who are construction workers who they're out on the mission field and they're doing nonprofits and things like that. And I personally feel like that same thing applies for like the arts, for Christians in the arts. There are some people who are very specifically called to like Christian films and to be like Christian worship artists and things like that, and other people that are just using those gifts to glorify God, but not for like the Christian circuit.
Absolutely, yeah. Dang, I think that's a really valid point. That's very good. I can't really add on to that. I think you've all covered it.
Might be able to segue into
Segue.
into the
Segues.
music.
Yeah.
The
Speaking of Christian music, we're gonna play some for a little bit.
We're gonna play some.
I didn't realize we took breaks on the fire talk. I was ready to keep.
Oh, we never do. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't take fire. We don't take fire breaks. We don't take breaks. if there's a fire,
fire
I'm taking a break
breaks.
right for the door.
Well, if you're watching online, welcome to the Fire Talk. We're having some audio troubles to begin with. This is Tori. This is Anna. This is Sean. I'm Kyle. This is McNair. McBuckets. Where today we're talking about music. Talking about music. That's pretty cool.
We are.
That's a topic that everybody has an opinion on, whether it's just, hey, what genre of music do you like? Or whether it's, hey, we should burn the Beatles. You know? So everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
Where you lie on the spectrum. Yeah, oh yeah.
Some big opinions there.
So we're just taking a quick break, kind of regroup, get our thoughts together. Hi, Grandma, I love you.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Here's a quick thought for you guys. I talked about Bob Dylan really quick converting. Fun fact most people don't know, I'm actually completely serious, is John Lennon was a Christian for a short period of time. He was in a hotel somewhere, and he turned on a televangelist, somebody like a TV preacher, and he was like, oh my gosh, like the devil has been blinding me, I've fallen into all this temptation, Christ died for my sins, and I need to live for him. Like he was like on the money, and for a short period, it was a few months, he was a born-again Christian. and after being very violently against it most of his career, although he didn't really speak about it until post-Beatles, Yoko Ono, not to point fingers because Beatles fans really don't like her. I'm very fascinated by the Beatles, so I keep my Yoko opinions to myself. But point being, she talked him out of it allegedly, basically saying, "Well, John, you were."
She talked him out of everything. Sorry, we're gonna keep it down.
Her whole point there was, John, the way that you were brought up, it's easy for you to get swept up in these sort of things. Just let it go. It's not a thing. And John told her, no, Yoko, the devil's blinding you. He's using this and that to trick you. Like, you need to see Christ. And ultimately, he came out of that. And I'm not going to sit here and point fingers at Yoko Ono and say, look what you did. But I think it's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, John Lennon being a Christian, because he came out at one point and said he thought it was going to be gone within 10 years. And this was I think early 90s when he said that stuff.
Well, and he was also the member of the Beatles that said the infamous quote, that we're more famous than Jesus quote, which was at the time taken out of context.
It wasn't a bad thing to say.
Yeah, it was an interesting comparison that he was making. Basically that teenagers were more interested in the Beatles than they were in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
More interested
more
in Jesus.
popular was a better word.
Yeah.
That definitely would have been a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Everyone can use a good editor.
John Lennon just kind of said stuff. If he had a Twitter, if he was still alive or something, he would have been he would have been kind of like Kanye, I think.
Just say whatever you want.
Just say whatever. Yeah.
Because fame, talk about fame. There hasn't nearly been as many. As many people have heard of John Lennon in the 2,000 years since Jesus died as Jesus has made an impact on the centuries of history that impacted John Lennon enough to become a Christian for a few months.
Absolutely.
He overstated himself, which got him more attention and made him more famous. But
and that's how it works. That's how fame works. No press is bad press.
Stuff,
right?
Yeah.
Say stuff and get famous.
What's really interesting to me and I use a lot of these classic rock musicians because they were such weird people, but musicians in general, they seem to be consistently really spiritual people, be that organized religion or just they think there's something. And I think artistically, creating music for a living probably really spiritually does something for you.
Yeah, I think there's something. I think Anna, you can probably speak to this as well. When you're writing and you're kind of having that connection with the music. There's something there where a lot of musicians, if you ask them if they're writers, they'll be like, "Oh, I don't even know how I wrote this song. I just I heard it and I wrote it and I felt it and things like that." And so that kind of, when you're kind of hearing music and you're writing it, it's kind of like, oh, maybe I'm not alone in the world. Maybe there's someone here.
Yeah, it really does come in spurts. Especially if you're, and you feel I think that's with any art though. You feel sort of an emotional connection to what the music you're playing or the music you're writing. So yeah, I mean, I can understand why it would make it seem more spiritual.
Like a spiritual level to it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things talking about music. It almost sounds like an emo kind of thing to say. Hawthorne Heights, anybody? It almost sounds like an emo thing to say. But let's see. Anis Mojani, a poet, says basically he's cutting pieces out of himself to give to you as the audience. So it's interesting that there are people that take it that seriously. And it's interesting to hear the rest of that poem. Check out Anis Mojani. Try to spell that last name. It's interesting the people that take it, that deep and really truly feel like, they're giving all themselves, just completely to this craft and to the audience that's either watching, listening, reading, whatever the art that they put out there is.
And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to tell a story.
Tell a story!
All right. Well, my dad is actually a professional musician, and the funny thing is he was really smart in high school. He was really good at math and science, and when he graduated, he had a full ride to some, I don't know what college it was, but some big college for chemical engineering.
Wow.
And he turned it down to be a musician. That is how much he's like, I love music. I love this like force so much that I want to devote the rest of my life to it. And now he is, not making as much money as he would be as a chemical engineer, but he loves what he does.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's funny how many bands that you read about. They all seem like they went through like their freshman year of college and then they dropped out. Like if you go on like any band's Wikipedia page or something, it's like, 4 friends met in college and then they dropped out and made this band and now they're touring all over. And I remember like I had that dilemma when I was over at another school, and we'll talk about that on air because we're gonna go back on air.
Yeah.
I'm on.
I'm on.
He's watching. No cussing.
And we're back. Hey guys, back with Fire Talk.
Welcome back to Fire Talk. I'm Kyle. This is Sean. That's Hannah.
That's
No,
Hannah.
Hannah.
What?
He breathed. He just breathed beforehand.
Oh, Hannah.
He's Jewish.
You can say hello. Sorry, Sean was laughing. That's why I kind of introduced him. And that's Tori. That's
Hi.
Tori. Corey.
Oh.
That's Corey. That's Hannah. And that's
Dawn.
Kevin.
What did I just say? Give me the mic. Coming back to it, we were in the break. We were talking a little bit in here just about the spiritual aspect of music and why so many musicians seem to be very inherently spiritual people. And Anna was just telling us a story about her father and how big of a driving force music was in his own life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad, to tell the story again to you, he was a really smart guy in high school. He got really good grades in math and science, and when he graduated, he got a full ride to a big college to study chemical engineering, which, if you don't know, makes a ton of money. And so, but he was a musician. He played piano, he played bass, he loved to sing, and so he turned it down to go on the road with his buddies in a band. And he's been pursuing music ever since then. Like, that's how big of a force music played in his life. So.
What I was about to say on our video, make sure you check it out, youtube.com/HD Productions. You can watch us live. What I was about to say, though, was actually when I was a freshman at Valley Forge Christian College, a sister school to Southeastern, I kid you not, after my first semester, I was very close to dropping out to play in a band.
What did you play, Kyle?
I played the drums.
You played the drums.
I played the drums.
Wow.
And if my fiance Tara is listening, she'll laugh at this a lot. But I was really close. I kind of had it all planned out. I was going to drop out, play in this just horrendous punk rock band. If Scott ever watches, I love you. But I'm going to play in this horrendous punk rock band and go around a bunch of different bars and just play punk rock. So, but I didn't. I'm here now.
You're doing broadcasting, right?
I am. I'm doing broadcasting.
Good alternative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why he's on the air with us now. I think music, especially like from a Christian standpoint, now we've cleared the air that music like is or is not inherently one thing or the other. I think music and Christianity and religion as a whole go together really well. I'm not that much of a musician. Play a little bass on the side.
Hey.
Right, shout out to my 4-string people with calluses on their fingers and what have you. But thank you, McNair. I can remember one of my most profound moments with God was over worship. And I know a lot of people get really into worship, and I do too, and I really see its value. But I've never been a crier. I've never want to sway around and put my hands up super high. Again, I see the value in that stuff. It just tends not to be the way that I connect with God. And I was on a mission trip last year. We were in Honduras, and we went to visit a local church, and it was just all this Spanish worship music that I did not understand at all, because I'm speaking Spanish very well anyway. And then right at the end, it was right at the end of their worship session, they went into the old hymn, How Great Thou Art. And I recognized the words with my loose Spanish and obviously the tune. And I kept trying to sing, but I was just so choked up every time because I thought of how, growing up as a kid in my small conservative church in Maine, we always sang that song. That was one of our staples. And in that moment, God really used that song to show me, how united his church body is. These are people that did not look, act, or sound like me at all. We had nothing in common. I couldn't even communicate with them effectively. But when that song came on, I didn't feel like a foreigner. And I didn't feel like I was in Honduras, and I didn't feel like I was in Maine either. I just felt like I was together with the body of Christ. And I think something about that music it can be kind of that universal language that everybody can get behind. And although, certainly our music would probably sound ridiculous to some countries and theirs would to us, that's something that can really bring people together. So have you guys ever had that experience where you saw music as a sort of a bonding thing across cultures?
Actually, yeah. Over the summer, I went on a mission trip to Scotland.
Everybody listening to 93.7 FM, this is McNair.
Hey, this isn't much to say, but just this experience I had at this church was that they don't use instruments in this particular denomination.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there would be a leader, and we're singing in Scots Gaelic, not in English, which is really interesting. So what would take us maybe 10 seconds to sing, it takes them 10 minutes to sing. There's a leader up on stage, and he sings out the melody at a faster pace, and then the congregation harmonizes and draws it out.
Wow.
And adds the melody. It's really, really cool. I don't know how they organize it, but I got to participate, and that was really fun.
And like Sean, like you said, what's really cool is whether it's worship music, whatever, when there's that, when God's working through the music and whatever it may be, like you said, it's like a universal language. That the only time I ever really cry on my knees or whatever is when I'm listening to a band called For Today, which is a super hardcore band. They're screaming and stuff, but that to me, that's, to some people that might sound like a foreign language, but to me,
style of worship.
Yeah, that's a style of worship, and that's what made me, cry and feel connected to God, and it's awesome, McNair and Sean, you guys going to different countries and being able to still experience God, even though there's a language barrier, that's showing God can work through anything. And I think that also goes back to earlier, where, there's not this definitive line, this is Christian music, this is, God's going to work through whatever, even if you can't understand it.
I think that's a good point that you just kind of mentioned at the end there, that, even if it's not Christian music, God can work through it. Which I know when I was in Guatemala, they were singing the Spanish songs and things like that, and you felt that, even if you had no idea what the sermon was, you didn't understand it, the worship would come on, and you would just feel that, you'd feel that connectedness, and you would feel you were oh, I'm actually part of this service, I'm not just, and I know I have, and I'm sure other people have had, more of those, sometimes a secular song will affect you more than sometimes a Christian song or, a worship song will, because it reaches you in that moment and kind of speaks to where you're at. And I think God really can work through that.
Oh yeah, there's a band called We Came as Romans. They're not McNair and I are having a moment here talking about some bands, but they're not a Christian band, but they write a lot of positive music in a genre, the whole metalcore kind of hardcore genre, that is very down. And so they always get asked, if you watch any interview, that, oh hey, so you guys are a Christian band, right? And they're like, no, we're not. But the thing is, they always say, they're like, we don't care how people interpret it. If they want to interpret it, to have a Christian meaning and relate with their God or whatever, that's great. Because they want to write music that's hopeful and uplifting. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, Tori, like you were saying, even if it's secular music, God can still use that, which I think is really cool. Here's McNair.
Yeah, that I think you're talking about hardcore metal stuff, that genre, category of multiple genres. They deal with a lot of theological issues with culture, where everyone's questioning things, and the ones who are trying to bring hope actually end up sounding really religious. It's like Bring Me the Horizon and stuff. It's some of their songs. They in one song they can be denying Christ blatantly, and then the next it sounds like they're claiming to be Christ. it's really this dynamic that they're obviously desperate for hope and in Christ, but they don't realize it and just want to make music turn them into a god.
And what's amazing though, I have a T-shirt for a band on right now. It says "Hold On, Pain Ends," and also says "Hope" on it. And they're one of those kind of loosely Christian bands, maybe or whatever. But what I love is that people mistake hope for Christianity, in the sense that I love that the idea of Christianity means hope to people. You know, like when they listen to We Came as Romans, that must be a Christian band, right? Because you guys are writing so many uplifting things. So that's pretty cool that, you know, when people listen to music, they hear something uplifting, and they're like, is that a Christian band? It's also sad because it shows the state of the music industry on the whole. But, you know, as long as, you know, Christians in music are writing uplifting stuff, even if it's not I love God, if it's just, hey, there's hope, you know, hold on, pain ends, you know, I think we're doing our service as Christians.
Yeah, in 1 Corinthians 13 it says that these three things will remain: faith, hope, and love. And it talks a lot about how you can be a religious person, but if you don't have love, then, you know, it's going to pass away. So I think it's really powerful when music, whether it be Christian or non-Christian, has that human theme of like hope or love or faith. I think it reaches out to all people.
I think that, you know, especially in music, people, they kind of leak what they are. You know what I mean? Like, it just comes out of us. I read an interview with the rapper Lecrae, and he's part of this whole big, you know, Christianity and music movement where people listen to this, and I'm a good Christian boy, so Lecrae is a bit of a guilty pleasure on my occasion. But his whole point was, I don't identify as a Christian this or a Christian that. I'm not a gospel rapper. He said that rappers, especially, they rap about what's inside of them, what means something to them. So you see a lot of these guys, you know, we use Tupac as an example, raps about, you know, violence in low-income neighborhoods and wishing that he could improve the world in a difficult upbringing because that's close to his heart. That's something that he has to see, and that's something that he has to deal with. And the rappers that rap about making money and drugs, that's probably what's near and dear to them. So Lecrae, his whole point is, I love Christ, and I love everything he's done for me and for everybody else, so how could that not come out in my music? And I think that's true of a lot of stuff. I love the point that you and McKenney were making, Kyle, where, you know, these bands are, they don't know Christ, you know, probably haven't read the Bible, but in them they recognize that need for human love and for hoping in something bigger than ourselves. And I think that's powerful. That's what comes out of these things.
And what's interesting, like the thing you said about Lecrae, is it seems like music is like one of those few things where people are like, oh, you're a Christian musician. I mean, like Tori, have you ever gotten, oh, you're a Christian vegetarian? Have you ever gotten that? Seriously, I've never gotten that.
I've never gotten that.
I'm going to go around, I'm a Christian vegetarian. You know?
Like, make a distinction.
Put your celery in like the shape of a cross, always, and then always. Yeah. So,
kind of weird.
But you know, we never have to say to them, no, we're Christians that happen to be vegetarian, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the same thing with music. It's, you know, it's just Christians that, you know, happen to make music. I think it's kind of dumb to put a label on it. Oh, you know, we're Christian music, you know, or Lecrae, he's a Christian rapper. No, he's a rapper. That's what he does as a job.
Yeah.
But what his soul does is being a Christian.
I love that. That's a very good point.
That's good.
And to take things on a lighter note, we've been sitting here, there's no such thing as Christian music.
Yeah.
But if we're being honest with ourselves, there's some Christian music, and it is a beautiful thing. Most people can get together, religious or not, and reflect on all the crazy ways that they used to dress or whatever, and like the ridiculous fads of back in the day. Christians are pretty well united over what incredibly lame Christian band we used to think was awesome. Like, where are my Striper people? If you're listening right now, if you don't know what Striper is, I beg of you, please Google them. Stryper. Striper was
Okay.
It was Christian hair metal. That's what it was, and they come out with these yellow jumpsuits with black stripes across them, and their catchphrase was like, "To hell with the devil." So like their lead singer would come out going, "To hell with the devil!" Yeah, Striper. Exactly. Like, Darren just came back to the studio. I said, "To hell with the devil," and he goes, "Oh yeah, Striper." Or Carmen. If you ever had the chance to listen to Carmen, I encourage you to do that.
We have Striper.
Do we have Striper?
We have Striper.
All right. I'm hereby requesting that we play Striper coming out of the show so you can all experience this, because you need to hear this for yourselves. And it's kind of like, it's become the subculture of Christianity where, like, we love it. Like, it's so lame that it's endearing. I know one of my favorite bands who also could be described as so lame it's endearing, Five Iron Frenzy. They did a tour where all their band members dressed like Striper. Like how ridiculous can you possibly be to sit down and think up Christian hair metal? But that was a ministry for people. That went a long way. And, you know, I admit, I was cruising down the highway, had a long drive back to New Hampshire, and I looked over to my buddy, and he said, "You want me to turn on some tunes?" And I said, "Yeah." And we got Stryper's cover of Ozzy Osbourne's "Over the Mountain." And the lyrics did not change at all. There was no Christian content, although probably somewhere there was a "To hell with the devil" throughout the chorus. So that's a big thing. So all of that to say, what is your all-time favorite lame Christian band?
Oh, that's a good question.
I hope that's not bad to say.
I got mine, and it's funny. I do not. I mean, as you guys have heard, I'm really much into like the hardcore punk music and stuff. But my favorite Christian band, and this is purely because of kids ministry, is the Newsboys.
Hey,
yes.
There you go.
Like anytime I go back to my kids ministry up in New York, anytime if I start playing like the first note of God's Not Dead, the kids go absolutely insane. So Newsboys hands down.
Nice.
Woo woo! First Assembly of God, Binghamton to New York.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to call them like a lame Christian band. I feel like people are gonna like throw stones or something. But like Reliant K.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
Every like middle schooler, high schooler from like a few years ago when we were high schoolers were like, whoa, yeah.
Reliant K.
Reliant K was it, man. Like, you went to youth group, get your Hollister shirt on. All right, get your jeans on. Shout out to my learners. Get your Uggs on. Put in your earbuds. Take out your iPod Shuffle. You turn on some Reliant K.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mood rings.
Mood rings. Oh, there you go. Two wrongs don't make it right, but three lefts do.
But two, yeah.
Reliant K, they're doing their own thing. Again, not blatantly Christian content anymore. If you're listening, Reliant K, I don't know why you would be. Please, I beg of you.
93.7 FM.
93.7 FM, Lakeland, Florida, your fire station. I beg of you, Reliant K. I want one more 5 Score and 7 Years Ago album. Just one more like that. Please give me one more Crayons, or please give me one more pop ballad Deathbed. Just let me believe that the Reliant K that gave me all that alternative guitar about feelings and Jesus is still out there. I want to believe.
So I guess I was kind of a lame kid. I listened to all that too, and DC Talk, all that good stuff. I kind of like the chill stuff though. I like to listen to hymns and stuff. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Selah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
But
They
that
my
was
church
me as a
once,
kid.
actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I was that lame person who listened to like grandma music, like
That's okay.
and digging it. Like
When I was a little kid, when I was like elementary school, before I got into hardcore music, like I would just listen to classical music all the
yes,
time.
me too.
That's like what put me to bed and stuff.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah,
then
actually-
then I played the cello for 7 years.
Hey.
Interesting Kyle fact.
There you go.
Wow.
I played classical guitar for 15.
Dang, dude. I played upright bass for a little while.
That's
I'll say.
the most Sean
Me
McKenney thing I've
too.
ever heard.
See, it was a Sean McKenney thing before it was a Sean McKenney thing.
Yeah.
Like back when my
Back
mouth
when
didn't
they-
make upright bass sounds, and everybody thought it was a big thing.
Me too!
That's why I'm in the radio studio.
Wait, did you pick the upright bass because it was the biggest instrument?
No, I just picked it
I
because I got it confused. I'm dead serious. I got it confused with the viola. They didn't tell me it was the
Which
upright
is the
bass.
size of a violin.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's like a slightly fat violin, and I thought that was it. I was like, oh, I'll play the double bass, and they were like, all right, you sure? I was like, yeah, sure, we'd play that. So I went on to be like the third person in my school's history to play it. Shout out to myself. However, while we're reflecting on this awesome trend of music that we now look back and like kind of enjoy, like I want to clarify my comments about lame music. It wasn't lame. It's just people look back now and they're like, man, you remember when Avril Lavigne was it? Like that was my
yeah.
stuff. And now we look back and we're like, dude, Reliant K. Like when they had the album where it was all the big name Christian musicians doing silly songs with Larry. The Reliant K's cover of the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything.
Yes.
I want that played at my wedding, my funeral, graduation, any major event in my life.
Hopefully not in that order.
Yeah, hopefully not in that order.
What was it? Marriage, death, and graduation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the way things are going, that could come shortly thereafter. But the opening where they were like, "Arr, arr, arr," and like they went right into it. You know what? Listen, listeners of 93.7 at WSU, your fire station, you have my word as a man of God. Within the next month, I'm going to do everything I can to get that song on the air at least once. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for the whole month.
Keep listening to WSU 93.7.
I think it's cool though when you listen to that old music and all, like the old songs. You have like the feeling of how you felt when you were listening to it, you know, or like what you were going through in your life. You can like feel it again. You're like,
I like listening to some of like I said it earlier, like Hawthorne Heights, like some of like the old school emo bands, and I'll listen to them now, and I'm like two things. I'm like, oh god, how did I listen to this? But then I'm like, yeah. You know, I still feel that. No, but like I think I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally understand like why at the time I was totally into this.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was like, yeah, I'm gonna paint my nails black and have long hair. Like, there we go. I feel you, man.
Have you seen those pictures?
No,
but I'm super excited about
McNair is asking about if people have seen those pictures. They're fun.
In fact, we're on Twitter. I know we are. Is it at WSCU?
Yes.
All right, at WSCU, please, if you were listening in, do me a favor. Please tweet the station. Give us a link to your favorite, like, Avril Lavigne Christianity song, if you know what I mean. Like what was the top of the pop charts in Christianity 10 years ago? I want to hear it. I don't care if it's Reliant K, if it's, you remember Stellar Cart?
Oh my gosh.
Stellar Cart was the best. And if you were ever in one of these bands, Stellar Cart. What was the other guy's name? Hawk Nelson. Hawk Nelson. I don't know if that's a guy or if the band's name, but if you're listening to me, you're welcome on this program anytime.
Oh, okay.
And all that to say, I think that's the beauty of Christian music, is even though we can sit here and argue about it now. KJ52. Oh my gosh. KJ52.
We have so much of his music on this.
Oh my gosh. All right. You know what? Another thing you have my word about, we are going to get a block of time where we play all the hottest Christian hits from 13 years ago, so you can relive all those rides
I have
to
a
youth.
playlist of it already.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
It's on the way.
You guys, sorry. I showed Sean McKenney a picture of myself.
I want to see. Show
Well,
me.
we're going to... This is for anybody watching our live stream, youtube.com/HD Productions. Make sure you check that out.
Oh.
And you also can see the picture of Kyle Hawley when he was in 9th grade there, I think.
If I didn't know any different, that picture looks like you're Agnes Young from AC/DC. however, we don't want to disenfranchise anyone.
It doesn't look you looked good as an emo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It looks
Thank
good
you.
on you.
Check out at WSCU on Twitter, and if Kyle Hawley is gracious, he will do us the honor of tweeting that, so you can know what the show host formerly looked like. Anyway, to kind of bring things back and not just remembering the good old days of KJ52, do you feel that, and I've talked to a lot of people that feel this way, they say, oh man, I miss those old bands, everything's wishy-washy now. Do you feel that kind of the quote-unquote golden age of Christian music is over, or are we just acting like a bunch of old curmudgeons that want Reliant K back?
I think that, like... Oh, sorry, were you going to...
No, I just had to do my little laugh.
Good music should come back, yes.
I think we might have just, like, grown along with the music. I don't know if that sounds, like, weird and poetic, but, like, I feel like we... Like, that music definitely, like, spoke to us at a time where it, like, met us where we were. Like, Hawk Nelson, Reliant K, KJ52, you know, all that stuff. And I think as we grew older...
Stellar Cart.
Stellar Cart.
Me and Jesus.
Like, we still have those worship songs and things like that, but maybe, like, I don't know.
No, I think we're gonna look back at some of the bands that are happening right now.
And it's like,
we're gonna be like, all right, that happened. I don't know, like maybe Skillet.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know. I mean, that's kind of old now, but.
Jeez. No, yeah, I mean, it's like I was saying earlier when I listen to some of like the old school emo bands that I listen to, I think I'm like, why? Why did I live why was Mayday Parade like such a big band in my life back in the day? Or little interesting Kyle fact, my first concert ever, 2nd grade, NSYNC.
Wow.
Yeah, Buffalo, New York. But obviously, like, I look back. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I could throw on some NSYNC and still kind of jam out to it. But still, like, I look back and I'm like, with all like the hardcore music I've listened to and the bands I've played in and just like the basement shows and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, my first concert was NSYNC. All right. You know, like, that doesn't make sense to me. So, like, I look back and, like, it's one of those, like, fond memories of I remember being into them, but also at the same time being like, yeah, that was really goofy.
I would love to see, now you're talking about this and I've got the idea in my head. You know how they do Band-Aid every now and then? Where it's like back in the day, like Michael Jackson and like Paul McCartney were there.
Do the big...
And they sang, everybody sings We Are the World, and that was like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If we could have We get like the Newsboys. Get the Reliant K guys. All right, Michael W. Smith.
Audio Adrenaline.
If his hands function anymore. Audio Adrenaline. All right, whoever is still touring.
DC Talk.
Striper, DC Talk. All right, what's that other group?
Cutlass.
The OC Supertones, Cutlass. If we could just get them together.
1,000 Foot.
1,000 Foot Crush.
Barlow Girls.
Super Chick. Let's go.
Static. Switchfoot.
Debatably Flyleaf.
Yeah.
Or Fireflight.
Yeah, exactly.
Firefly.
Get them together and have them sing like, oh man, pick some good old, maybe just have them do like Our God is an Awesome God. Like a cult classic.
Led by the Casting Crown.
Exactly. Yeah, have Casting Crown show up for a guest appearance. That would be great. So if somebody could please get the ball rolling on that. Any ideas? Again, please tweet that at WSCU or give me a call. Look up my number somewhere. I'm willing to plan this entire thing. This is a great idea. Anyway, I've gone on a bit of a tangent, and we seem to have lost control of the show.
You're about 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Ladies, I've been running my mouth the whole show. I'm very sorry. I have nothing more to say. Please, final thoughts on music and Christianity. I'm talking everything from Super Chick to Amazing Grace to U2. How do you feel?
Okay, well, I think, honestly, that, I think this is a good talk. I'm excited to see where it goes in 10 years. Well, punny, Kyle. Punny. I'm excited to see where music goes in the next 10 years. Now that we're talking about this, like, what's going to be weird in 10 years? You know, what's going to be the Super Chick of 2020?
We're gonna look back on SEU worship and be like, what?
What was happening?
Family Force.
We want Chase.
Yeah.
Family Force 5.
I still have their Christmas album. I still have
Reliant K Christmas album is
listen
still
to that.
the best Christmas album ever. Reliant K Christmas album, by the way, is the best Christmas album ever made.
Pretty good Christian music.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I don't listen to other Christmas music.
That's McNair. Tori, what are you thinking?
I think this is a fun conversation. I love talking about you know, how to incorporate like your Christianity into your art. And you know, I think we all just kind of gave 5 really awesome examples of that Christian music is relevant, you know, no matter how much you might not want to be like, hey, Christian music, oh, yeah. Like, it is relevant, and it does positively affect people's lives, but I think that also there is a place for Christians to be in the music industry, and I think Tori Kelly is actually a really good example of that.
Yeah.
She's a Christian, she's very, like, you know, honest about her beliefs, but she's putting out regular music, if you will, and it's uplifting and it's fun, and she has a really amazing platform.
And it's interesting because McNair has shown us a bunch of old school Christian bands still. It's interesting because like something like Reliant K, they're a band that ended up getting, you know, secular success as well. I feel like a turd saying that, secular success, but you know, and you said Flyleaf, they were you know, with their original lead singer Lacey, they were a very Christian band. I saw them in concert. My fiance and I first date saw them in concert with 3 Days Grace, Breaking Benjamin. They actually covered How He Loves Us, right? And they were opening for those two bands, and I was like, what? You know, high schooler me, I was like, I play that song in youth band every week. But no, Sean, like you said though, I'm excited to see where music goes. Or one of you guys said that.
That was me, but people tend to
It is
forget
actually
what I
here this
Fire
week.
Talk featuring Hannah.
Yeah.
Hannah. But no, I'm excited, Anna, to see, you know, where music goes. I think there's been a lot of cool new things. You know, a lot of electronic stuff in music nowadays. So I'm excited just to see hipsters. You know, there you go. Where you know, what new technology gets used in music. Just because I like hearing that stuff. Even if I'm not necessarily like into the genre itself, I just like to hear the new technology in it.
All right, I said I wasn't going to say anything, but this is my last point. I really love...
Yeah, we gotta go!
Like you listen to WSU.
I love the way that Christian music seems to be a solid 10 or 12 years behind everybody else in terms of technology.
Yes.
Christian movies.
Exactly. Like once we discovered the synth, it was the synth era for
We
Christianity. So, like,
Guitar.
we're still on synth. All right, Striper.
Synth is never
They were big like 10 years after the 80s, where like Striper music was big to begin with. And I think it's endearing personally. Like, we might move out of the synth era. I think now that Mumford & Sons is kind of fizzling a little bit, we're like, wait, have you guys heard about banjo? You guys heard this whole new thing.
So true.
Or like bubbly synth. Like, thank you very much for that 2005. This is living now. We're like, guys, what? You will not believe what we can do with a keyboard. This is awesome. We gotta worship with this. I think it's great. Whatever is big right now, you know, like the whole distorted
Dubstep.
saxophone thing. Christian dubstep.
It's coming.
The year 2021. Somebody's gonna drop a Christian dubstep album. I can't wait.
I actually have 2 covers. I have a cover of I think Amazing, or what's that one? What's that one you said earlier? The hymn you heard.
Oh my gosh! How great thou art.
Oh no! Sorry, it was Our God Was an Awesome God.
Okay.
Sorry, I have a dubstep
Not
version.
him, but
I have a dubstep version of that, and then I actually have a dubstep version of God's Not Dead that I used in a Goofy video for the kids ministry once.
wow, Kyle is already breaking new ground.
I tell you, if I was gonna drop out of college for a band, So
now to Striper.
Now to Striper. So it looks like we've kind of come to the end of our hour. Final thoughts, just closing thoughts, anything, music, right? There we go.
Yeah.
All right, well there you go. You've been listening to 93.7 FM. This is the Fire Talk. Make sure you check us out, youtube.com/HTProductions. /Striper. If you just tuned in, you can go ahead and rewatch the entire episode, including the beginning part without audio. So that's amazing. My name's Kyle.
My name's Sean.
Hannah.
My name's Tori.
And you've been listening to 93.7 FM WSEU. To hell with the devil!
Lakeland, Florida.
This is the best episode yet. Man, who's up for some Barlow Girl? Where can we find Cutlass tickets this time?
Are they still touring?
I hope I didn't offend a whole bunch of people that were like, "Oh, we're like, it's my favorite band."
David Lee's gonna be like, Sean's not allowed.
Sean's off the air.
Sean's off the air.
Turn this up. I want to hear.
No!
This is their queen.
Thank you for watching, everybody.
Not covered. It's more like
Bye. Get out of here.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, hey, we didn't say this on the radio. Thursday, 4:30. In here.
We'll
Listen.
see you.
Watch us.
If my brother at home is watching, the president's speaking tonight. Don't miss Barack Obama. Love you guys.
Bye.
93.7.
See ya.
Princess Diana.
My mom won.
My mom watched.